Hello again, welcome back to Localite. My guest today, Andy Knight. She is now the secretary of the Dalles Farmers Market, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that transition because you came on as the manager and then now you're the secretary. So what was that transition like and how did that happen?
I managed and I grew relationships with the farmers, and I saw how the farmers just really needed a voice to speak out for them. They don't have time to be looking into these things, and they're busy on their farms.
Right.
And so I decided that I would run for a board position, which we will do every year consistently, put up seats for the board.
Exactly, which we should mention, your position you were elected into.
That's right.
Which is important.
Yes, I was elected into that position by the farmers, and with the hope that I can just be a voice for them and keep track of what's going on in the government, in our personal communities, and
kind of merge those two.
Yeah, just be able to work for them.
Right, right. Well, you come from a background that wasn't necessarily farmers markets, but I mean definitely a food industry, and almost a desire to see, because I had mentioned in the first segment about you being from Seattle, and you just really didn't, you kind of took it for granted. You know, you went to the store, bought your food, and didn't really have a connection with where that food was coming from or how it was being processed or not processed. But your background in the food industry kind of led you to a realization that you wanted to know more about how your food was getting to you. And so tell us about that.
Yeah, in Seattle, I did do some farmers markets there. I didn't shopping, you know. But you're so far away from a farm or a farmer, you don't think about it. You go, you see your wrapped meat, and you're like, oh, okay, let's go.
Looks good.
You know, I'm going to the store and I'm picking through the lettuce for the best one, without a thought of where did this come from. And I'm so fortunate now that I do think about that, because I realize how important it is to support your local community and your local farmers. And I feel like, in a way, that's kind of homeland security. You take care of your farms, you take care of your food system, and you take care of the families, also known as farmers, who grow it.
Which we've really stressed out in many ways, and it's unfortunate that you can go and buy something at any convenience store, you know, major chain or whatever, and it's cheaper than to go and buy something from somebody who probably grew it just up the road, you know. It speaks to our food chain, if you will, in this country. It's kind of out of balance.
It's kind of a misconception. It's not cheaper, because you're not keeping the money in your community. You're not.
Good point.
When you keep the money in your community, you support yourself, and what are you paying for? You're paying for lower quality. A lot of people think that farmers markets are more expensive. There's a few things that are more expensive, but if you come to my farmers market, you'll find that most things are very comparable. And there's some specialty items that are more expensive, but there's a reason. There's a high quality product there that you're buying. And you know, you have a choice whether you want to buy those strawberries or melons or
whatever it might be, yeah.
But you're paying for higher quality, and you're supporting a small local farm and family.
Yeah, and keeping the money in the community.
That's right.
Well, in Seattle, where you said, you know, you shopped, excuse me, but you never actually facilitated a farmer's market. But in that community, in that city, still a community, but what are the differences, do you think, between there, besides the obvious, between there and like the one here in the Dalles?
At every booth that you go to in the Dalles, it's a farmer at their booth. It's the person who's growing the food at their own booth. and it's local. And you can go to a lot of farmers markets in the bigger cities who get their stuff from various places, not necessarily local. And you know, every farmers market has their idea of local. But you know, you're going to come to the Dalles Farmers Market and you're going to meet the farmer when you're purchasing the food from them. And
you can then ask them questions about how they did it and what they use for fertilizers and all those kinds of things, and they're going to know firsthand. They're the ones that are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very neat. So with your background having been, you know, shopped at bigger cities where the farmers markets are at, and then running this one, what do you think you've been able to implement in the Dalles Farmers Market that's really been unique, or something that maybe, you know, like you said, you got to help the farmers along. This isn't something that's naturally a progression for them to do. So what have you been able to implement?
Really, what I have tried to work with them the most is because, like you said, it's not a natural progression for them. A lot of times they're not really comfortable in the salesman seat. So we try to help them kind of be more comfortable in that seat and display themselves in a way where people want to shop them. But I also think that they have a chance to be more integrated in the community themselves because they spend a lot of time on their property. So I don't know as though I've really done anything special or unique yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with we're just so at the beginning still. You know, we're still really trying to grow it and trying to bring the people in and let people know that we're there. And just try to help people, or I should say educate people on what a local food movement really is and what that really means to each individual.
Right. Well, great. Well, we want to talk about, when we come back from the break, about why farmers markets, we've touched a bit on it, but why it is so important to the communities, not only here in the Columbia Gorge, but on a national level. And so that is what we're going to talk about when we come back. We'll be right back on Localite. Stay with us.